Miss Segovia, and I'm going to go over your notes on the plant kingdom. On the left side of your notebook, I want you to put this cool little table. This is to help you identify what kind of plant you have. And so plants that don't make seeds include the algae, ferns, and mosses. Those that do make seeds are gymnosperms and angiosperms. And so this is one we'll be referring back to throughout this unit, so I thought it'd just be good to put that right up in front for you. So our notes today are going to be long. I'm sorry, but what you'll want to do is have a second sheet of paper. So once you hit the bottom of this page, you can continue on a second page, or you can write it on the second sheet and then attach it, and it'll just kind of fold down to have your notes. But we're going to do a big overview so you get a lot of the basics on plants. So to start out, we are dealing with the plant kingdom. So let me go ahead and zoom in on that for you because it is way out and I'm sure you're having a hard time seeing it. So the plant kingdom. Plants. Let's go ahead and do our left line so we can go and Cornell that later. Don't put your summary line at the bottom because again you're going to be attaching a second sheet unless you write super tiny. So plants are multicellular, so that means they have many cells. Autotrophs. So auto means self, troph means feeder, means they can feed themselves. So multicellular autotrophs that are mostly found on land, although we do have some aquatic plants, and are very different from their algae ancestors. So when our photosynthetic algae started, moving to land, we say that there was 4 big things that they had to overcome. So we had 4 challenges to living on land. So as you can guess, if you're going to go from a mostly aquatic environment to a land environment, one of your big issues is going to be water and nutrients. So challenge number 1 was obtaining water and other nutrients. So what did plants do to make this happen? Most plants have shoots and roots. So let's break that down a little bit. Roots absorb water and also essential minerals from the soil. And so okay, well, roots absorb water and essential nutrients from the soil. Shoots bear the leaves. You'll see I did a little editing here. I had to go back and reshoot a section that I really screwed up. So that, if you're wondering why you're seeing the highlights there, that's what's going on, or the whiteout. All right, so shoots bear leaves. Sometimes you'll hear shoots referred to like as stems and stuff. So the big thing to know is that roots and shoots are made of what we call vascular tissue. And vascular tissue is a system of tubed, 'shaped cells that branches throughout a plant. And so you can kind of think of the vascular system, vascular tissue, a lot like our blood vessels. And so the point of it is to be able to transport water and nutrients throughout the body. And plants need something to do that too, and that's the vascular tissue. And so you'll be learning a lot about it. It's got cool names like xylem and phloem. So that was the first thing they had to overcome, was obtaining water and nutrients. The second thing plants had to overcome as they moved to land was being able to support themselves. So supporting their bodies. So plants can only stand upright because of the production of a substance called lignin, which is a chemical that hardens plant cell walls. And so it's a tough substance that gives it the rigidity and support that they can stay upright. Otherwise, if you're looking at your algae, they don't have that support. So if you take an algae out of water, it just immediately flops over. And so lignin allows the plants to stay upright. Otherwise, they'd just be flopped on the ground. And you know, too, back in this chart, I did say algae was a plant. It's kind of a little bit of a gray area. There is some algae classified as protists and other as plants. And so it just depends upon which species it is, how it grows, what it has, and stuff like that. It's complicated, is the short of it. But let's see. So we have obtaining water, nutrients, supporting their bodies. The third thing is maintaining moisture. So plants have to stay moist in order to stay alive. All those cellular processes that take place require water. So plants' cellular processes must take place in, and I love this word, nice $5 word, aqueous. Yes, aqueous, like aqua, water. So, environment. So they have to stay moist. Therefore, they have adapted a waxy cuticle which acts as a waterproof layer coating the leaves and other above ground parts. So a lot of you have heard the word cuticle before, like referring to fingernails and such. That little layer of extra skin right here at the base of the nail. So you imagine that went all the way up your nail. That's kind of what plants are. And if you've ever taken a plant leaf and run your fingernail across the top, sometimes you can actually kind of pull some of that waxy cuticle off. And so it's a waterproofing thing, a nice layer that keeps the plants from losing excess water, so they can stay moister longer. The other thing that also helps is stomata. And these guys are microscopic pores in a leaf's surface that also regulate water loss by evaporation. And so they can actually open and close at different times of the day and allow some water out so the plant can still have some movement of water, but they can also close if the plant's getting too dry or if it's just way too hot outside, and make sure that the plant doesn't over dehydrate. So I'd like you to highlight too waxy cuticle and stomata, because those will come back later, and when we do some more direct drawings of plants and stuff like that, then you'll get to see what those are a little bit up close, because this is just kind of an overview page. So you'll notice now I'm like really close to the bottom of this page. I'm going to leave these last lines blank and skip over to my additional page here, because then I'll be attaching this to that. And so part 4, actually, if you want to, you can go ahead and add your sideline here so that you can do your Cornell note questions later. So in 4, the last thing plants had to be able to do was reproduction. You have to make more new plants. So plants had to adapt to protect, the gametes. You remember, that's eggs and sperm. Had to protect them from what? From drying out. And so if they dry out, they're not going to live. And so, and they had to have some means, some way for dispersal. And how do they do this? Such as pollen grains carried by wind or animals. And so the big thing, you know, plants can't get up and be like, hey, plant over there, you want to make another baby plant? No, they have to kind of send a little go-between. And so what they actually send out are those pollen grains. So pollen is essentially the plant sperm. And it goes from one plant to another to fertilize the eggs that one's holding on to. And so you know, it's kind of gross to think if you have allergies, you're actually allergic to plant sperm in a way. So, yeah, fun, right? All right. So when it comes to plants being protected, moving to land, it was obtaining water and nutrients, supporting their bodies, maintaining moisture, and then also reproduction. And so last little thing we're going to put on here, because I told you these notes are a bit longer, is the general classification of plants. So classifying plants, there are 2 major groups, and we have our non-vascular and our vascular. So vascular are plants that lack a well-developed system for transporting nutrients and water, where your vascular have plants with true vascular tissue. And you're going to learn about those: xylem and phloem. And so in the next couple pages here, we'll be going into what that really looks like. And the very last thing I want to put on here are the 2 life cycle stages that plants have. So we can do a little line right here, and then plants have complex life cycles. That include, two different stages. And so our one stage is sporophyte, S-P-O-R-O-P-H-Y-T-E. And so in this stage, a plant produces spores, which are tiny cells that can grow into new organisms. And the new organisms, they develop into plants, into the plant's other phase, called the gametophyte phase. And so in our gametophyte stage, gametophyte, let me slide that up, sorry. I get caught up in writing, I forget to look up. In the gametophyte stage, the plant produces two kinds of sex cells, which are sperm cells and egg cells. And so we'll get into a little bit more detail on this one later, but I just want to include it on our overview. So you're going to want to highlight sporophyte and gametophyte. And that, my friends, concludes your notes for this one, which I told you were ridiculously long, but it's a big overview of plants. So what I'd love you to do is to take your notebook then, take your new little section of notes right here, and what I like to do is kind of fold under one section, and then I'll go ahead and glue or tape this into my notebook right here, and then when I'm not using it, I can fold it up and out of the way. And so you might want to trim your sides a little bit so it fits a little bit better in there, but make it work, and that way you've got everything that you need for the plants. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.